Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Friday, the 13th of June. And overnight news, Israel bombs Operation Rising Lion as jets target Iran's nuclear sites. There was a threat of this yesterday. We covered it in the alert, and now it's taken place. It's unusual. They tend to do this on a Saturday morning when the markets are closed. So obviously there's been a reaction in the markets, but yesterday stocks close at session highs, but retail euphoria boils over as short squeeze frenzy ends. That's in the junk rally. Was this it for the junk rally? Goldman said to start selling. So a bit of weakness around with that yesterday. US stocks were mostly edged following softer than expected PPI data. Well, everything's changed overnight, like I say, with the news of Israel bombing Iran. It's the other way around. So yeah, it sent the markets lower. However, Rachel from accounts will be absolutely thrilled, and we spoke about this yesterday. The FT hits record high on the back of US-Iran tensions. As I've said before, the market loves a war. The fate of the FT 100 values has largely been pegged to the status of Donald Trump's trade war since its last record high was achieved back in March. So it hasn't really been pegged. Rachel from accounts is printing money like it's gone out of fashion. All things have changed, or proposing to. Let's put it that way. So yeah, the whole thing's a mess, but we know this, don't we? We see it every morning. We're living in a mad world, and it's getting madder. So economic news today, it's completely irrelevant because all eyes are going to be focused on the Middle East to see what's happening. And we've got UOM consumer sentiment. That's about as much as I can say with that. So let's move along, have a look at the markets, and kick off with the Dow. So in the Dow, market down, off the lows though, as you can see, coming off the 20 bar average there. This is probably going to be the low for the day from the overnight market, unless tensions rise, an exchange of more war words between Iran and Israel. And of course, one thing we've got to take into consideration is any retaliation by Iran as well in this new conflict. It just gets worse, doesn't it? There's more wars. They talk about net zero and all that nonsense, and yet they're happy to throw bombs around and keep wars going. You see, there's a paradox with all this stuff. But I'll try not to get political. Let's just look at where the markets are. They've traded down to the S3, 90% plus of the time. The market will find support in this area, and that's precisely what's happened here on the overnight. So at the moment, the market's finding a bit of support and trying to come off this level. Don't be surprised if you get a bit of a shakeout when the German futures market opens at 7 a.m. And speaking of Germany, let's have a look at how this is fared overnight too. So Germany sees that the market also moving lower in the daily chart, taking out the 50 EMA at the moment. We've got a bit of support to the left there as well. So let's just draw this in, and you can see there at 23,268. So price is managing to hold above this level at the moment. Like I say, you could expect a bit of a sell-off to begin with, and then a rally. Also down at the S3 level there as well, just like the Dow, but also we've got a gap here as well, which just jumped out at me. So the gap's like to be filled. So don't be surprised if we try and get back to yesterday's low, despite the conflict. This is the abreaction that you get in the markets, and then they try and wrong foot everybody. Everybody goes short, and the market goes up. So again, just keep an eye on this from 7 a.m. And in the S&P 500, the market trading down to the 20 bar moving average as well, and then making its way back off the lows. So you can see that they're down to the S3. Market finds support and trying to move back towards yesterday's lows. Meanwhile, Rachel will be thrilled. We do have a new all-time high. Mine's slightly different. That pink line is the all-time high, but it hasn't been taken out. That's because each spread betting company has its own, or creates its own market. It's a bit like an infringement of copyright if they have the official figures that everybody actually puts out, the exchanges put out. So what happens is they create their own markets for people to bet on. So that's why it's slightly different there. But new all-time high according to the FT 100 official on the exchange in Germany has made a new all-time high. And there you can see that. And also notice that the UK interesting, is only traded down to yesterday's low, hardly bothered about the fact that Israel have bombed Iran there. So an interesting one there. Show the UK FTSE showing the strongest of all of the markets at the moment. So the US dollar, as I said in the narrative with the email this morning, the market or the US dollar loves a war. Currencies love a war, and anything to try and support the US dollar at the moment that it's losing huge value is of no surprise whatsoever. So let's have a look at the impact of the so-called bombing with regards to the metals. Well, in the silver market, very disappointing, because obviously gold will have moved higher, but silver tried and then failed. It's traded up to the 78% retracement, now run into trouble. It's smacked down Friday. I would expect this to be moving lower for the simple reason the US dollar is stronger. And as soon as you get any murmurings of war, or you actually go to war, then silver, because it's also not just monetary but also industrial, they'll use that as the excuse to actually move the price lower. So don't be surprised if silver's down today and gold continues to move to the upside, heading towards its all-time high of 3,500. So the gold market is defying the US dollar. As you can see there, overnight prices, safe haven, moving to the upside. Nice volume there as well, supporting the move. Meanwhile, as I say, silver, not the case at all. There's the smackdown yesterday in silver, and then moving back up, which you can see choppy overnight. So weakness abounds in the silver market at the moment, whereas gold is obviously, like I say, a hedge against war and inflation, and moving higher there. So let's have a look at the gold-silver ratio. And surprise, surprise, we're heading back up. As I said, this gap would be filled, and now it's just a matter of moving this back up towards the 100 level, I suspect, for the silver-gold or gold-silver ratio there. But let's have a look at yesterday's trades before we conclude. So in the pre-market session, market was again choppy. And there you can see when it opened it was still choppy as well. Prices tried to move lower, they didn't, they failed, and then reversed and moved to the upside. And then we switched back to the downside, where prices actually did continue to move lower. And notice also that there was no attempt to try and get back above the low there. Germany seems to be slightly disconnected at the moment. It's had its time running to the upside and making all-time highs, whereas now it seems to be the weaker of the European markets compared to the FT100. So another potential buy signal just after 9:30, which saw the market continue to move back to the upside, and then we got into the morning, mid-morning, and then the pre-market for the Dow. And then into the afternoon session, again, we started out with prices being sideways there. You can see there, bit of buy, lending support. Then we had a potential buy. This saw the market move slightly higher. And then we had a sell signal, which wasn't filled within the 3 bars. Market reversed. And then we continued up to the low, the close. It moved nicely there. And then we saw prices reverse and then start to make its way back down past the low and continue on a lot further. As you'll see, they're heading to the 200 MA, where we have a bit of green coming in there to show there's some buying at this level, with prices then bouncing off the 200 MA. As you can see, they're going into the early part of the evening. So have a quick look, see where we are overnight. And we see we're stuck in a sideways move. Obviously, we've had a big move during the overnight session, which I'll just squeeze it up a bit now. You can see we've got this gap to fill, which is just above yesterday's low. We've got it in between that we've got to take the S2 out at the 200 MA and also hold above the S3 as well. It's unusual to see the market go down to the S3 on the overnight. So the percentage chance of staying above the S3 can decrease somewhat. If it happens during the main trading session, it's a 90 plus change of a reversal in trend. But obviously there's a few unknown variables as we head into the open. They may retest it and then turn it around. As you can see here, how many times we came down and had a look at it and then started to trade sideways with a bit of support there. So just keep an eye on those as we kick in at 8 a.m. with the cash market, 7 a.m. with the pre-market. Okay, that's it for this one and for this week. Have a good weekend. Don't let the madness get you down. And let's see what happens during today. So with that, as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.